Debuting in 1997, Diva was one of the most popular girl groups of the first generation of K-pop. And they weren't just famous for their hit songs and high-pitched voices, but also for being extremely controversial. And when I say extremely controversial, I really mean it. In a modern world where idols are even kicked out of their own groups for simply having a life, the members of Diva had the luck of living in an era where the attention and pressure was not as giant as it is today, and they really took advantage of it, to say the least. Diva's original lineup consisted of the members Vicky, Chae Rina, and Jini. The first change happened in 1999, when Min Kyoung was added following Jini's departure. The reason behind Jini's withdrawal were visa issues, but at the time it was rumored that she was bullied out of the group. There were always rumors that Vicky and Rina ostracized Jini, and that they used to get into physical fights. These two were already denied, but the bullying part is confirmed to be true. The rumors started because while they were still working on their debut album, Jini suddenly disappeared. Years after the group's disbandment, they went on a show where she confirmed that she disappeared because she was bullied, and Vicky confessed, "I really bullied her badly. Because we weren't friends, there was jealousy, envy, and things like that. Since Jini is the youngest, it seemed like the two of us were closer to each other than to her." They remembered one time when she got Jini's hand caught in the car door. It was not on purpose, but she did not apologize. It's speculated that Vicky bullied Jini because Jini was starting to get more attention in the group, which supposedly made her jealous, but this is not confirmed. The most popular Diva member was actually Rina, who despite that, left the group in August of 2000, which led to Jini's comeback after a year away from Diva, and a new lineup that lasted until 2006. After Min Kyoung left the group's company, BM Music, due to the expiration of her contract, Vicky and Jini posted on their respective Psy World mini homepages that she abandoned them. After that, the group had an unofficial disbandment. Surprisingly, they left everything in the past. The three already reunited in 2016 to perform at the festival Legend to Toga. They lip-synced to songs of Diva that were sang by the original lineup, which did not please Rina, who expressed her dissatisfaction on social media and wrote, "If you're going to sing a Diva song, why don't you sing it without my voice? If you're going to sing or lip-sync, spend money to rearrange it and sing it. It's unpleasant. My voice is coming out, but someone else is mouthing, LOL, serious comedy." In 2020, she went on a radio show and said that from all the Diva members, she only kept in touch with Min Kyoung, and that at the time her relationship with Vicky was not very soft, but that she also missed her a lot. In 2022, Diva reunited again, this time with Rina and without Vicky, but she was present at the backstage of one of their shows last year, marking the first time in several years that the four were seen together. At the time of Diva's debut, K-pop was still a new thing, so there wasn't a lot of artists out there yet, which made it easier for the media and fans to compare and create rivalries between them. With Diva, it was not different. During a period famous for its innocent girl groups, Diva is considered the first female hip-hop group in South Korea. They carried a strong concept that nowadays would be called girl crush. Other girls who started to use a similar concept at the time were Baby V.O.X. Aside from the similar unusual style, both groups had rappers in their lineups, which was not common for female groups back then. So it didn't take long until people started painting them as rivals. But unlike with other artists, their rivalry actually transformed into a real-life situation. The beef between Diva and Baby V.O.X. themselves officially started because of the senior and junior culture that South Korea has, and used to be way more strict in the past. In some countries, including South Korea, juniors, who are younger people with less experience at stuff like work and school, should speak very politely to seniors, who are people with more experience in whatever they do, and treat them very nice as a sign of respect. Diva and Baby V.O.X. apparently became real-life enemies in the year 2000. At that point, both groups had already been through changes in their lineups, which made it complicated to tell which one of them was the real senior. Baby V.O.X. debuted 1 month before Diva, but between all of them, the one who debuted first was Rina, who debuted in 1995 with a co-ed group. One little detail is that she was actually friends with Baby V.O.X members and had already left Diva when the feud started. Despite the fact that Rina was no longer in the group, Diva believed that they were still seniors to Baby V.O.X and demanded to be treated as such. One time after a rehearsal, Min was sitting down talking to her friend, singer and actress, Chang Nara. When the members of Diva arrived, Nara greeted them, and Min tried to say hello, but they were already sitting down, so she couldn't do it because she was very shy. This put a bad taste in Diva's mouth because they thought that she had ignored them on purpose and got angry at her. At another rehearsal, Min was with her group mate Heejin when Vicky walked past them. This time Min only nodded at Vicky, which infuriated her. She went to Min and confronted her, saying, "If you don't want to say hello, don't say it, or do it properly." According to Heejin, Min was actually dozing off at the rehearsal while wearing sunglasses. After the confrontation, Vicky was leaving, but decided to come back and asked, "Why aren't you saying hello?" Min was surprised. She took off her sunglasses and said she was sorry. But Vicky continued, "Why don't you greet us?" Min got so startled that she walked out of the hall crying, and the war between Diva and Baby V.O.X was officially declared. According to rumors, whenever the groups appeared on the same show, they made officials nervous because big and small conflicts would always arise. There was even a rumor of an assault between them at one time, but it was unfounded. They used to go to the same hair salon, and Baby V.O.X didn't went to members of Diva to say hello, as Diva felt like they should do. So Diva even sent a public warning to Baby V.O.X on the show, God on the Road, that was censored during its airing. They said, "We will not leave you alone. We are preparing. We already gave you 2 warnings because you never said hello. If you don't say hello the 3rd time, we really won't forgive you." This brings us to the infamous 2002 KMTV Awards that made news thanks to Diva and Baby V.O.X, but not for a good reason. It all started because someone thought that it would be a good idea to have both groups performing together at the same stage during the award ceremony. Diva and Baby V.O.X had a collaboration stage scheduled for the event, but after things got heated up during rehearsals, Jini went to the Shilla Hotel, saying that she didn't want to perform. According to the website Sports Chosun, Jini declared, "We can't stand on the same stage." Members of the production went after her and were able to calm her down. They convinced her to go back to the event venue and perform. So the collaboration stage started. Diva was supposed to dance while Baby V.O.X sang, but Diva left the stage when the song started playing. KMTV worried about having them performing together initially, and following the controversy, one of their officials stated, "When Diva disappeared from the stage, the staff became extremely nervous and caused confusion. Fortunately, there were many singers standing behind Baby V.O.X, so Diva's sudden behavior was not noticed by the audience or viewers." Diva's side denied from day one that the group's action had something to do with Baby V.O.X. Contrary to what is known, there was no particular problem with Baby V.O.X. The reason for going to the Shilla Hotel was to have a meeting with our agency's president. And the reason for coming down during the performance was because there was a public broadcast scheduled, representatives of the group said. Many years after the incident, Vicky said that they walked off the stage because Diva was the only artist who had not won an award that night. She also appeared on shows with members of Baby V.O.X and apologized for how her group treated them. Thanks to the controversies surrounding their name, Diva gained the reputation of being rough and were nicknamed Female DJ Doc. DJ Doc is a male group that was also famous for being violent and controversial. Jini already dated the member Kim Chang-yeol, and just like her past boyfriend, she faced legal problems and even got arrested. The first time, because she assaulted 3 people who were passing by a convenience store, along with 2 friends in Sinsadong, Seoul. Jini kicked a woman in the face. According to her, the reason behind the assault was because the passers-by looked at her in a bad way. According to the court, Jini led the act of violence, and after a legal battle of over 2 years, she was sentenced to 8 months in prison for violence in April of 2002. However, she was not incarcerated for being a celebrity. In 2003, she was caught by police for drunk driving. According to Gangnam Police Station in Seoul, Jini was caught driving her foreign car for about 100 meters with a blood alcohol level of 0.11%. After drinking soju with a friend at a food stall in Sinsadong around 1 a.m., Jini claimed to the police, "I drove for a while to where the designated driver was waiting," and again, was not incarcerated, but had her driver's license revoked. The following year, she ended up at the hospital after being assaulted at a nightclub in Gangnam and suffering an injury to her nose. Jini went to the nightclub that night with her dancers to celebrate her sister's birthday. While they were drinking, her sister suddenly got into a fight with a customer sitting next to Jini, and while trying to break it up, she got hit on the nose and it got severely swollen. But this time, she had no problems with the police as she was not directly involved in the fight. In 2005, Vicky made news for being involved in a police case. In November of that year, she woke up at 3 a.m. to the sound of pounding and the screams of a woman coming from the house in front of her studio apartment. At first, she thought that the noise was coming from a fight, but she heard the woman scream sharply again and the sound of property being destroyed, which made her go check on the situation. She ran out of her apartment and repeatedly rang the doorbell of the house where the noise was coming from. As no one opened the door, Vicky pulled it open. Fortunately, it was not locked. It was only secured with an auxiliary chain. When she was finally able to open the door, she came face to face with something horrible. A woman in her 20s being raped by a man who appeared to be in his 30s, with her face and entire body being violently assaulted inside of the house that was in a state of rubble, with furniture broken and falling over. While standing in front of the house, Vicky immediately started to scream. She shouted, "What are you doing?" The criminal looked at her, so she closed the door out of fear, but quickly opened it again. While the criminal hesitated, the woman ran away screaming for help. He came out to catch her, but after seeing a neighbor couple rushing out of their home, he ran away back into the house and locked the door. Vicky called the cops, and while her and the neighbor couple were helping the woman, the criminal immediately got dressed and ran away. Vicky and the male neighbor went out into the alley and chased him about 20 minutes. She wanted to beat him up, but meanwhile, the police arrived. After listening to the victim's statement, they started chasing the criminal separately from Vicky. The police was able to catch the criminal, who was wandering around with a limp, and arrested him. The criminal got incarcerated, and police investigation revealed that he only met the victim on 2 occasions, prior to breaking into her house while drunk, committing assault and rape. Vicky talked about this traumatic experience and shared, "I felt bad that I couldn't catch him myself. I saw the criminal fall from a 2 meters high wall, and then he started limping away from me. I couldn't help but watch a man hit a woman or do something bad. When I came home later, I was scared thinking about what I would have done if that man had come at me with a knife." Years later, when remembering this incident, she said, "I can't just ignore when women and children are being harmed." While she was still a part of Diva, a rumor that Rina went down the stage during a performance to hit anti-fans started to be spread and gave her the strong and scary older sister image. If you know a little about old K-pop, you know that idols in general, but in special females, were extremely tormented by anti-fans on a very scary level. On my latest video, that will be linked in the description of this one, I shared some stories from that time, including one from Rina herself. When she was in her first group, Rivalry, Rina was coming out of a performance when 3 men grabbed her and ran away holding her. Her groupmate Lee Sang-min was able to rescue her, which left the men angry. So they called their friends and surrounded the group's van. They kept shaking the van and even the police couldn't do anything about it, he told on an interview. Years later onto her career, now as the leader of Diva, Rina was performing and saw an anti-fan holding a placard with something written in English. She couldn't read English well at that time, and at first thought that the anti was actually a fan because they were holding the placard strongly. As her 2 groupmates are Americans, one of them saw the placard and told their leader that there was actually a curse word written on it. So Rina ran down the stage while singing and snatched the placard from the anti's hand, but didn't hit them, like the word on the street said. She cleared up the decades-long rumor just last year and said, "At the time, Yoon Jung-soo was the host, and he said he was nervous because he thought I was going to hit the anti." Excluding this one that is still very light compared to others. Diva is one of the few first-generation girl groups who has no stories of scary antis tormenting them. So wanting or not, their reputation helped them to survive in such an industry that treats especially women so poorly. Since unlike with the females known for being cute, not everybody had the courage to get Diva on their bad side. At the same time, there's no excuse to a lot of their wrongdoings. Diva came from another era that was completely different from today's, and did what they had to do in order to be respected. Which does not make me agree with all of their actions, but I do think that this deserves to be taken into consideration. even if you don't agree with me in this aspect. I think that I can speak for all of us when I say that if nowadays idols are bashed for holding their country's flag, eating a strawberry and breaking a nail, Diva wouldn't survive a single day in the 5th gen.